Howdy folks, welcome back to the channel and welcome to a new weekly War in the East 2 editor tutorial episode. And in this one, which will be relatively short, we will cover the ground elements tab. I wanted to make a joint tutorial between the ground elements and the TOE, but I decided in the last minute not to do it. So this tutorial will be short because most of the information in this tab we have already seen them when we discussed about the aircraft tab. There are, however, a few new things that you have to keep in mind over here. First of all, let's start from the list of ground elements. Ground elements include all of the ground elements, not only vehicles, but also the manpower, the squads. Like, for instance, you can see here the Rifle Squad 40 and the Rifle Squad 43 for the Germans, for instance. But it also includes a few things that will be important for the locations tab, which are the, let's say, factories. And we have them here. We have the port, rail yard, manpower, vehicles, heavy industry, oil production, fuel production, synthetic fuel production, resource production, and armaments production. And last but not least, we do have an interesting element which can only be edited in this tab over here, which is the vehicle repair. Now, don't be tricked by the name vehicle repair. Vehicle repairs indicate the vehicles which are actually damaged. Because if we go to the production tab, yeah, exactly. You see here, vehicles in repair, 50,000. And if we go, if we switch to the Soviets, I think it's 25,000, if I'm not mistaken. Exactly, 25,000. And if we go back over here to the ground elements, exactly, you see here 50k and 25k. And yeah, basically this is all what I wanted to show you guys in this list. Now, going back to our element. The majority of the information here, as I said, were already discussed in the aircraft tab. There are a few new additions, let's say. The first one here is the ROF, the rate of fire, which indicates the adjustment of how many times does this device fire during the combat phase. In this case is -3, and if we go to the 75mm KWK-40L/43 gun, we see here it has a rate of fire of 14, which means that when this gun is mounted on the Panzer F2 tank, it has a rate of fire of just 11. Then we have the accuracy, which is again quite intuitive. It changes the accuracy of the device when it's mounted on this specific ground element. And then we have the total amount of ammunition, let's say, carried by this device. Now, I am not sure if the War in the East 2 ground combat engine mechanics calculations take into account whether every element always has the full amount of ammunition, or if the amount of ammunition is, let's say, scaled to the percentage of ammunition, carried by the unit itself. And also, I don't know if there is like a mechanic that simulates the fatal loss or total loss of the element if it carries 100% of the established ammunition that it can carry. Again, as I said, I have no idea if this is implemented or not. Then over here we do have some information that we've seen already. The type is important in dictating, of course, the type of element, because we will go through this at the end of the tutorial. Then here we do have scrap. Now, scrapping indicates when any element that is still in the production pool will be permanently deleted and removed from the production pool. And in this case, scrap 1945 means that if you still have Panzer IV F2s in your production pool, in 1945 they will be gone. They will disappear. You'll never see them again. And then over here we do have the let's say the manpower, which indicates the amount of men, the number of men required to build one of these ground elements. Speed. Now, speed, I confess, I never played around with this, but apparently is the speed of the element that is calculated during the combat phase. Again, I never tested if by, I don't know, increasing or reducing the speed of a specific element, this affects its combat performance. And again, the last point that deserves a mention here is the size. Is not intuitive as it may sound, but the size here refers to is basically is a number that dictates kind of a category in which this element belongs to. Now, if we have, for instance, 1, this indicates infantry elements, light artillery, mortars, light AA guns, and so on and so forth. Size number 2 indicates, I think, medium artillery, light tanks, recon vehicles, and so on and so forth. Size number 3 indicates, I think, heavy artillery. Size number 4 indicates medium tanks and, let's say, heavier artillery. And any size from 5 to 10 indicates the siege artillery, siege mortars, all the big guns and the big things that go boom, let's say, kind of. And okay, then we have frontal, side, and top armor. Maximum imports, we've seen it last week. And maybe, yeah, the last thing that deserves a special mention here is the reliability. Now, unlike the number that is highlighted here in the aircraft, that the higher it is, the worse the aircraft performs, in this case, it is the exact opposite. The higher this number is, and the more reliable this ground element actually is. And having said that, let's briefly talk about the ground types. Ground types are determined over here in the ground elements, and each ground type has specific, let's say, features, and the most important of which of this feature is, of course, the combat value. This is exactly the base combat value that is provided by these types. In this case, I've selected the rifle squad, and as you can see here, I have all of the ground elements that belong to the rifle squad type. And if you want to play around just with the rifle squads, you can click here on this button, set as filter, and now in the ground element tab you will only see all of the ground elements which are listed as rifle squads. If you go over here and you click on the first one, on the 4 zeros, and you click as set as filter, again on the ground element tab you'll see again all of the ground elements. Let's stick to the rifle squad. Combat value, we said it. Support need is again quite intuitive. Ammo type. Ammo type refers to the type of ammunition that is fired by those types. In this case, we have none, so it doesn't shoot, is a support element. Number 1 is a chi, or number 2 is armor piercing. Produced by. There are, I think, 3 possible combinations. There are armaments, which indicates armament points, factories, or armaments and vehicles. I know that exactly you can choose between 0 and 9, and I know that I think between 5 and 9 it's basically the same. Like if we it's always factories. But again, I don't know if by changing the number between 5 and 9 you change anything in terms of production. Number 4 is exactly armaments and vehicles, and number 3, number 2 and number 1 is just armaments. But again, I don't know if there is any difference between setting armaments number 1, 2, or 3. And then we have the target type. Honestly, I never understood what the target type indicates, because when you click on this, you can only choose between 4 different target types. 0 is, again, intuitive, is no target. 1 is infantry. 2 should be armored fighting vehicles, exactly. And 3 is artillery. Now, from my understanding, this actually denotes in which category of elements, like if we click on here, exactly to which category of elements this specific type belongs to. Here we have infantry, or as I call it, manpower, artillery, or armored fighting vehicles. And the last thing are these substitutions. Substitutions indicate which other types will replace the selected type if there are, for instance, not enough ground elements of that type in the production pool. For instance, let me see if we have exactly like medium tanks. Medium tanks in this case can be replaced by cavalry tanks, assault guns, or tank destroyers. And yeah, hopefully this is a good example if you want to play around with substitutions here and there. And I would say that's already it for this tutorial, folks. As always, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. I wish you all the best, and I'll see you all next week with the TOE tutorial.